Hypothalamus Artificial Intelligence, HI, presents his actual research and development plus innovation project, based on artificial intelligence, focused on generating a new version of OPTEX optimization expert system, that we'll call OPTEX GPT. OPTEX GPT will be your pilot for the best decision making. OPTEX is the revolutionary transformation in industrial mathematics with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is changing the way we think about math. OPTEX's revolutionary approach focuses on the application of AI to solve complex and challenging mathematical problems, opening new possibilities in multiple industrial fields. OPTEX is much more than an expert optimization system. It is the culmination of years of research and technological development in the field of artificial intelligence applied to mathematics, designed to simplify the process of creating and maintaining complex mathematical models, allowing companies to make more informed strategic decisions. The future is now. OPTEX Optimization Expert System is a new vision of mathematical programming. Generative Pre-trained Transformers, GPT, are a family of neural network models that uses the transformer architecture and is a key advancement in artificial intelligence, powering generative AI applications such as ChatGPT. GPT models give applications the ability to create human-like text and content, images, music, and more, and answer questions conversationally. Organizations across industries are using GPT models and generative AI for conda, text digesting, content generation, and search bots. In 2017, GPT networks emerged, increasing the long-term memory, the number of words that can be used to predict the next word. Additionally, GPT networks can analyze context, since they can handle models with relationships between words, phrases, paragraphs, other levels of word grouping. In 2018, Google launched BERT, the first GPT network with practical applications. Like any statistical model, accuracy depends on the sample, quality and size, and the number of parameters used. Currently, LLMs can estimate billions of parameters. This is due to the power of today's computer science. OPTEX GPT will be based on specialized LLMs, intended to handle different aspects of the mathematical modeling process throughout the life cycle of mathematical models. Today it would be forever. A large language model, LLM, is a statistical language model, trained on a large amount of data, that can be used to generate and translate text, and other content, as well as perform other natural language processing, NLP, tasks. LLM has existed since 1990 within the field of computational linguistics, which is a subdiscipline of artificial intelligence. The basic statistical model of language consists of probabilistically predicting the word that follows a chain of previous words. In this way we can construct a sentence as a set of words, construct a paragraph as a group of sentences, and from groups of paragraphs construct a chapter, and so on. Like any statistical model, its parameters must be estimated. Since 2000 the LLMs are done using specialized artificial neural networks, recurrent networks and long short-term memory, LSTM, nets. OPTEX, Optimization Expert System, is a generative artificial intelligence focused on the design, implementation, startup, and maintenance of high-complexity mathematical programming models. OPTEX was created by DecisionWare Ltd, DW, in 1990, and it can be considered the father of the artificial business brains produced by HI, a DW spin-off company. OPTEX is oriented to state-of-the-art artificial brains, traditional decision support systems, DSS, that integrate state-of-the-art technologies of advanced analytics and optimization, like mathematical programming, advanced probabilistic, machine learning, and artificial neural nets. The way the mathematical modeler communicates with OPTEX is through a standardized database, a unique data model for all mathematical problems or subproblems. It also allows you to perform high-level operations between models, such as joining or splitting them, and implementing multi-problem solutions, according to large-scale optimization technologies, or using multi-problem procedures, such as constructing optimal numerical functions. This allows the modeler to build mathematical frameworks in the same way that Lego models are built. An expert system, S, is a computer program that is designed to solve complex problems, and to provide decision-making ability like a human expert. It performs this by extracting knowledge from its knowledge database using the reasoning and inference rules according to the user queries. The expert system is a part of AI, and the first S was developed in the year 1970, which was the first successful approach of artificial intelligence. An S helps professionals who are not experts in a subject, when a problem needs to be solved quickly, accurately, and easily. The experts involved in an expert system do not always agree with their opinions resulting from their experiences. Part of the expert system is the inference engine, that tries to reach a consensus based on the weight of the experts. The expert system is specified in a database that stores the model information and the tools to process it. The expert system eliminates the complexity of algorithm programming, facilitating access to mathematical modeling by non-programming expert professionals. Expert systems were created as part of artificial intelligence but not oriented to neural networks. An expert system oriented to mathematical modeling must be analyzed from 2 points of view: the data model that defines the structure of the expert information system, and the mathematical models that are stored in this database. The expert system is the basis of OPTEX's Generative Artificial Intelligence, which eliminates programming in the production process of solutions for the end user. As its name says, it stores the information given by an expert, in this case a mathematical modeler. Due to the nature of mathematics, being an exact science, it cannot have errors or inconsistencies. This means that if it is explored by a GPT AI, it should always give the same answers. OPTEX is an optimization technology aimed at producing artificial brains as the technological and logical evolution of current decision support systems moved by humans to enterprise-wide optimization systems, moved by robots, called EWOS. OPTEX is the artificial intelligence produced by HI, which manufactures EWOS, for Industry 4.0. Artificial intelligence, and more specifically LLMs, take their information from what they consider to be expert systems. Traditional expert systems store information provided by experts, individuals who have great knowledge about a field, but experience who may have more than one of real-world interpretation, and therefore these systems include uncertainty. Today there are multiple methodologies to process an expert system. One of them is GPT, which in its most basic form is a model of large neural networks that estimates statistical models of millions of parameters. If there are differences in the structure of two expert systems, or in their content, they will have similar, but not the same, parameters. Following the principles of generative pre-trained transformer AI, OPTEX GPT will be the advisor that helps mathematical modelers, and professional users, when they require solutions in line with today's cutting-edge technology. OPTEX is focused on the implementation of artificial brains, conceived as a union of optimization models, with information systems. In the development and maintenance of high-complexity mathematical programming, OPTEX avoids the intensive use of resources for programming computers. OPTEX Structured Mathematical Modeling. To populate the databases of the optimization expert system, HI has standardized the data models of the databases, and the process to be followed. This standardization is called structured mathematical modeling. A mathematical model stored in an information system can be conceived as the union of mathematical components harmoniously integrated. There are two types of components, or objects: basic mathematical definitions, indexes, sets, parameters, and equations or constraints. Advanced concepts, problems, models, decision support systems, and artificial hypothalamuses. These components can be stored in a relational information system. It permits their handling in a modular way. Following the principles of relational information systems, and use structured query language, SQL, to manipulate the mathematical objects. This conceptualization is independent of optimization technologies, which allows to separate the formulation of the mathematical models from their implementation, using a specific optimization technology. It is an expert system optimization, an element of AI. Mathematical modeling expert systems. A knowledge-based system, KBS, must store two types of knowledge: mathematical components, equations, problems, models, previously used and working properly. This information is generated by the modeler who builds the mathematical models and their entire operating environment, and results of previous runs to speed up the solution of new problems. This information is generated by the math models when they are used, and correspond to the trajectories of the variables involved in these models. The use of this information is totally dynamic, since it depends on the value of the input parameters in each new run. The definition of the models is done by filling in the blanks of the tables of the expert system, which can be done in multiple ways. One of them, standardized tables filled in Word or Excel. Joining, or splitting models, is done by keeping records in tables. The diagram on the right shows the structure of a decision support system, or an artificial brain, to support companies in the electricity sector. Integrated Information System. The DSS is made up of two models, Power and SGO, which have similar models, but slightly differentiated. High Power and High SGO integrate the models and information systems around a common data model, allowing models to be connected automatically through the database or through RAM memory, integrating them as an artificial hypothalamus for an electricity company of wide coverage. OPTEX, High's artificial intelligence to develop artificial brains, manages the artificial hippocampus. It is oriented to make high-complexity large-scale mathematical models without programming. The models are built in a modular way, as if they were a Lego set, which are formed by a compatible system of equations, the Leo parts, for all models. Structured modeling allows OPTEX to consistently handle tens, hundreds, thousands, and generally any number of models and all of their components. These models share components such as constraints, variables, etc. The algorithms are generated by OPTEX, following the user's instructions, which can take multiple forms, such as a timer, or triggering the algorithm from another algorithm, or manually in any window. OPTEX automatically provides a hologram of the standard user interface, which is generated inline as the user explores the system. Programming not using programmers. OPTEX's standardization, while limiting the modeler in the creative development of their programs, allows OPTEX to be the artificial intelligence, generating all the programming components necessary to implement an artificial brain, which is the new artificial intelligence, which replaces the decision-making support systems of the past. To do this, OPTEX generate the artificial hypothalamus algorithm, which is based on a mathematical language between robots, based on the theory of duality, and which allows to solve multiple problems, under a scheme that we can call autonomous real-time distributed optimization, similar to how the human hypothalamus operates. Making very large-scale models by the traditional way, using a computer programmer, it is an impossible way, because the programmer only can write a limited number of lines, of good source code per period. Maintaining these models can be more complicated than doing them, if more than one programmer intervenes in the process. OPTEX can produce infinite lines of perfect source code per period. Loading mathematical problems from MS Word. It is the actual method to load the optimization expert system. This process includes verifying the correct writing of the equations. Starting from a real-world problem. For implementing complex mathematical models from MS Word, the stages are: first, convert the algebraic model to a formulation in MS Word, in the form of tables. Second, convert MS Word tables into CSV files in standardized ANSI format. This may require an intermediate step that goes through MS Excel tables. Third, upload the CSV files to the OPTEX database. This process is carried out with the support of OPTEX, which automatically validates that the mathematical elements are correctly formulated. The database in OPTEX corresponds to the expert system, which is based on mathematics and is error-free. Fourth, generation of the source program of the mathematical model on the selected computational platform. The second step may be shortened, loading the information from MS Word directly to OPTEX, using the MS Windows clipboard. At the limit, If the user wishes, OPTEX can perform the entire process in a single step, until the results are delivered. There is no need to store intermediate results. All the information processed by OPTEX comes from the expert system database. This interface will be replaced by OPTEX GPT, which will speed up user communication with the optimization expert system. Public GPT versus Enterprise GPT. As technologies like ChatGPT and DeepSeek become household names, companies are increasingly exploring how generative pre-trained transformer models can revolutionize their business processes. However, there is a significant distinction between enterprise GPT and public GPT models that every executive should consider. There are 5 main differences. Public GPT, 5 main differences. Data security and privacy. These models operate on external servers, which poses risks when processing proprietary or sensitive information. Data governance is often a concern, especially in highly regulated industries. Implementation cost and operational costs. Lower upfront costs with subscription or usage models. However, unpredictable costs can arise as usage grows. While operating costs may seem lower, a lack of custom automation and efficiency improvements could result in hidden costs over time. Customization and control. It is based on public data and pre-trained insights. Adaptation to specific business contexts is limited, making it difficult to achieve full operational efficiency. Successful implementation, risk management, and return on investment. It is easier to deploy for general use, but enterprise adoption requires additional layers of development, which can introduce risks and dependencies on third-party solutions. ROI is often indirect and less predictable, as these models are not designed for specific business cases. Sustainability and long-term impact. While effective for immediate needs and experimentation, the sustainability of models in a business context is limited. The need for constant adaptation, compliance issues, and a lack of custom optimization all affect long-term strategic alignment. Enterprise GPT, 5 main differences. Data security and privacy. It operates in a secure, enterprise-grade environment, ensuring that sensitive data never leaves the organization's control. Fully customizable with internal data sets, aligning with compliance and regulatory needs. Implementation cost and operational costs. The initial setup and infrastructure investment may be larger, but customized solutions lead to a higher return on investment, ROI, in the long run. While operational costs include infrastructure maintenance, training, and upgrades, they are balanced with increased efficiency and optimized resource allocation. Customization and control. Enables deep integration with internal systems and applications. Custom models can be tuned with proprietary data to generate unique business insights and process automation. Control over the deployment environment improves operational consistency. Successful implementation, risk management, and return on investment. The implementation is backed by dedicated support, robust testing, and integration methodologies tailored to the business environment. Businesses can achieve a higher and more predictable ROI through increased productivity, a better customer experience, and streamlined operations. Sustainability and long-term impact. It offers a sustainable approach by enabling continuous learning and optimization within a controlled environment. As business models evolve, Enterprise GPT adapts and stays aligned, contributing to long-term digital transformation. Public GPT versus Enterprise GPT. While GPT models such as ChatGPT and DeepSeek offer an excellent entry point to generative AI, Enterprise GPT represents a strategic leap towards the digital transformation of enterprises, as it is the basis for assessing whether the organization is ready for customized, secure, and scalable solutions that align with business objectives. For organizations looking to transform not only processes, but also generate a measurable return on investment, reduce operational costs, and build a sustainable competitive advantage, investing in Enterprise GPT is a critical step. Generative pre-trained transformers. Public users of Public GPT. Massification of ideas. Many ideas go into GPT Public, but only one comes out, for all users. GPT drives cognitive synthesis and the trend toward homogenization that occurs when using large-scale language models. In artificial intelligence, the synthesis funnel is the phenomenon in which many ideas enter and only one comes out. This is due to the architecture of GPT models. The process can be described as data compression. During its training, the model processes trillions of text fragments, ideas, facts, styles, and converts them into mathematical vectors or embeddings. Statistical prediction. Instead of choosing the right idea, the model calculates the answer with the highest statistical probability, based on the patterns it has learned, acting as a filter that discards the less common options in favor of majority statistical consensus. With this approach, creating a new idea is impossible. Noise removal. The synthesis process helps to control fragmented information, transforming disordered data into a coherent and structured narrative, but unique. Massification has critical side effects on diversity of thought and knowledge. Homogenization of thought. By favoring the most frequent patterns, AI tends to produce average or generic content, which dilutes individual creativity and minority voices. Creative illusion. Studies suggest that although GPT generates ideas quickly, most can be repetitive or similar, lacking the diversity that human critical thinking brings. Confirmation bias. The model is optimized to give answers that are satisfactory to the user, often leading to constant self-validation rather than challenging ideas with conflicting perspectives. GPT forgets that, for Henrik Ibsen, in scientific thought the majority is never right. The phrase "the majority is never right" is a famous statement, by playwright Henrik Ibsen, who argues that the dominant opinion often prioritizes comfort, conformity or popularity over objective truth. Ibsen asserts that conventional wisdom, or popular consensus, is often flawed and that progress comes from minority and independent perspectives. He argued that an enemy of humanity is the majority, which is made up of ignorant people, who cling to social lies, suggesting that they take a long time to be right, if ever. Other important opinions are: Mark Twain, "Whenever you're on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect." Leon Tolstoy, "What is wrong does not cease to be wrong because the majority participates in it." George Bernard Shaw, "The minority are sometimes right, the majority, on the other hand, are always wrong." Søren Kierkegaard, "The minority is usually made up of those who really have an opinion of their own, while the strength of the majority is illusory and based on blind following." Albert Einstein, "What's right isn't always popular, and what's popular isn't always right." GPT hallucinations. ChatGPT, what are hallucinations and why are they a problem for AI systems? Is the article written by Bernard Marr that has been taken as a reference. What is hallucination in AI? Hallucination in AI refers to the generation of outputs that may seem plausible but are incorrect or unrelated to the given context. Thus, GPT hallucinates information on which it has not been explicitly trained, leading to unreliable or misleading responses, which arise from biases inherent in the AI model, and/or a lack of understanding of the real world. The biggest problem with a hallucination is not knowing that you are hallucinating. This can be difficult to clarify, so it is necessary to know what it is not to hallucinate. The main formal hallucinations problem are: erosion of trust, ethical concerns, impact on decision-making, and legal implications. There are several ways GPT can be enhanced to reduce hallucinations. Enhanced training data, ensuring that AI systems are trained on diverse, accurate, and contextually relevant datasets helps minimize hallucinations. Red Team, AI developers can simulate scenarios to test the AI system's vulnerability to hallucinations and iteratively improve the model. Transparency and explainability, providing users with information about how the AI model works can help to understand when to trust the system, and when to seek additional verification. Human in the loop, bringing in human reviewers to validate the results of the AI system can mitigate the impact of hallucinations and improve the overall reliability of GPT. As GPT becomes more common, addressing the phenomenon of hallucination is essential. By understanding the causes of hallucinations and investing in research to mitigate their occurrence, the users can help ensure that GPT is used responsibly and effectively. Your private pilot for decision making. OPTEX GPT is the current research and development plus innovation project, based on artificial intelligence, focused on generating a new version of the OPTEX optimization expert system, fundamentally aimed at generating a new interface, for modelers and users, of OPTEX, based on GPT-type artificial intelligence. OPTEX GPT is your ally in the adoption of technologically advanced solutions. It is designed to advise mathematical modelers and professional users on the implementation of innovative solutions, ensuring that they take full advantage of the latest technologies in artificial intelligence and machine learning. The integration of OPTEX with neural network-based artificial intelligence, such as pre-trained generative transformers, GPTs, is essential to drive innovative solutions in various industrial fields. This connection enables the creation of generative AI applications, such as chatbots and content generation, taking mathematical optimization to a new level of sophistication and efficiency. Following the principles of generative pre-trained transformer AI, OPTEX GPT will be the advisor that helps mathematical modelers and professional users when they require solutions in line with today's cutting-edge technology. OPTEX is focused on the implementation of artificial brains, conceived as a union of optimization models with information systems. In the development and maintenance of high-complexity mathematical programming, OPTEX avoids the intensive use of resources for programming computers. At the limit, if the user wishes, OPTEX can perform the entire process in a single step, until the results are delivered. There is no need to store intermediate results. All the information processed by OPTEX comes from the expert system database. The process of uploading OPTEX will be a more interactive activity through generative artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT Omnichannel 4.0. In this way, the user will be able to communicate with the OPTEX model database, and use all the documents produced by HI for the management of the system. All through a conversation, out loud if you will, with OPTEX GPT. At the limit, if the user wishes, OPTEX GPT can perform the entire process in a single step, until the results are delivered. There is no need to store intermediate results. The basis of the OPTEX GPT conversation will be based on so-called prompting engineering, called by HI as the engineering of ideas. At the limit, if the user wishes, OPTEX GPT can perform the entire process in a single step, until the results are delivered. There is no need to store intermediate results. The basis of the OPTEX GPT conversation will be based on so-called prompting engineering, called by HI as the engineering of ideas. The process of uploading OPTEX will be a more interactive activity through generative artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT Omnichannel 4.0. In this way, the user will be able to communicate with the OPTEX model database, and use all the documents produced by HI for the management of the system. All through a conversation, out loud if you will, with OPTEX GPT. OPTEX GPT will be a specialized generative artificial intelligence to work in the OPTEX optimization expert system environment, which will be powered by mathematical models that exist in the current OPTEX database, and of all new models, and/or the algebraic components that will be introduced. OPTEX artificial intelligence. With the evolution of GPT-based artificial intelligence, today not only do humans have access to their own artificial intelligence, but a smart product like OPTEX can also have its own artificial intelligence, which will allow it to offer artificial intelligence services to users. This involves two-way communication, from OPTEX GPT to OPTEX databases, and from OPTEX documents to OPTEX GPT database. Currently, OPTEX GPT is connected to a real artificial intelligence, called Pepe, with which it maintains a personal relationship. OPTEX GPT becomes the first technical product with its own artificial intelligence. The user can connect directly to the OPTEX GPT artificial intelligence to solve its doubts and request services. OPTEX GPT's artificial intelligence produces services that can be configured according to needs and creativity. The information that the OPTEX database must send is generated from the relational databases of the expert system, and from the video databases on HI YouTube. Currently, the services offered from a list of videos are production of PDF documents, commercial podcasts, For example, from a relational database, OPTEX GPT can organize the technical videos. To do this, the videos are separated into parts, and in the relational system the technical videos are dynamically organized, considering the order in which they are to be assembled. The definition of the models is done by filling in the blanks in the tables of the expert system, which can be done using OPTEX GPT. Symmetrically, the content of the expert system can be imported or exported using OPTEX GPT. To this end, it should be considered that the database that defines the relationship between models and problems allows access to the entire database of the expert system. The first type of information that the OPTEX GPT database must store is the technical documentation that supports OPTEX and the mathematical models developed. From the correct configuration of the MEs, the modeler will be able to configure the required algorithms, link them together, and generate the computational code of their choice. Finally, he/she will be ready to run the multi-problem models. An evolved OPTEX GPT could help experts in field problems, but not experts in mathematical modeling, to generate advanced, ready-to-run mathematical models. On the other hand, from this knowledge information, OPTEX GPT will help the user build new mathematical models. Several GPT models will be developed to serve users with different levels of experience. The main product is the management of MES, Mathematical Modeling Information System. The data source for building a model can be the description of the real model, and/or the algebraic formulation, and/or pre-existing models in the OPTEX database. Although it may not seem practical, when GPT voice interfaces are ready to use, the interaction with OPTEX GPT could be speech-to-speech. One of the important services of OPTEX GPT will be the interaction of the user with OPTEX Expert System. OPTEX GPT will become the new user interface of OPTEX, with the same current capabilities that are based on the ability to manage the database, by different ways. Currently, OPTEX can mix multiple problems from one application and multiple models from various applications. This is done by enabling or disabling connections in the Mathematical Model Information System, MES. In this way, a non-modeling expert user can build their own models from HI's extensive model database. The world's most comprehensive mathematical modeling expert system is the collection of articles offered by multiple sources, such as technical journals, books, and more. Another source of information, commonly used to produce mathematical models, are publications, free of charge or acquired from publishers, which must be consulted by mathematical modelers, and from there, adapt the models they are going to implement. The idea is that OPTEX GPT can help in this process of normalization of unstructured information sources to information structures in MES. What's included for using AI OCR tools? To produce different types of documents aimed at storing their contents in the expert system. This new mathematical models must be revised by OPTEX and by the modeler. This connection will allow inexperienced users to convert the content of articles of interest into models, or tell OPTEX GPT that it locates models according to their interests, and put them into the expert system. Another of the functions of OPTEX GPT will be aimed at supporting users in specific applications, to accompany them in the process of elaboration, or selection, of mathematical models, the loading of industrial databases, and the interpretation of the results. The main product is the management of IDIS, Industrial Data Information System. This work will be advised by OPTEX GPT, based on the data model of the IDIS database. This includes the verification of the validity of the database, considering the metadata of each of the fields of the tables. OPTEX GPT will manage the documents that are produced for the end user. Another type of document is the general-purpose document on a topic. These documents are produced by HI or come from other sources such as journals. As an advisor, OPTEX GPT will have access to a database of documents, some generic and some specific, to facilitate the understanding of the company-wide optimization system by the user group. The central column of OPTEX GPT is an information system made up of two large systems. The current expert system of OPTEX, and the new GPT-oriented knowledge information system. The latter information system integrates the following sources of data. The expert system of OPTEX. OPTEX documentation, all its manuals and supplementary documents. Technical thematic documentation from different sources, the main one being HI's white papers, as they are aligned with HI's holistic vision. Paper of journals, research reports, and information from the models developed by HI, and the user database. In this way, modelers and users will be able to use the new OPTEX GPT interface. Finally, a fundamental activity that OPTEX GPT should support is the development of specialized activities related to the mission of developing highly complex models. These activities are commercial, aimed at monetizing HI's intellectual property, and project execution. HI has organized the execution of these activities around process manuals, organized with GPT's prompting engineering concept. This process is initially supported by the OPTEX GPT database, and is fed by the problem associated with the project, and the activities carried out by the mathematical modeler. In the first part of the execution of the project, or of the commercial activity, documents must be generated, or used, or modified, aimed at delivering to the end user, the documents that support the activity. These documents are white papers or videos, or PDF presentations. Prompting engineering is supported by the sequential generation of standard documents, which can feed into each other. If the activity involves the implementation of mathematical models, in the end the algorithms will be obtained and delivered to the user. All the information generated will become part of the OPTEX GPT database. The process of uploading OPTEX will be a more interactive activity through generative artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT Omnichannel 4.0. In this way, the user will be able to communicate with the OPTEX model database, and use all the documents produced by HI for the management of the system. All through a conversation, out loud if you will, with OPTEX GPT. At the limit, if the user wishes, OPTEX GPT can perform the entire process in a single step, until the results are delivered. There is no need to store intermediate results. The basis of the OPTEX GPT conversation will be based on so-called prompting engineering, called by HI as the engineering of ideas. OPTEX GPT will be a specialized generative artificial intelligence to work in the OPTEX optimization expert system environment, which will be powered by mathematical models that exist in the current OPTEX database, and of all new models that will be introduced. Technical documentation that supports OPTEX, and the mathematical models developed, and general technical information. On the other hand, from this knowledge information, OPTEX GPT will help the user build new mathematical models. Several GPT models will be developed, in order to serve users with different levels of experience. The main product is the management of ME's, Mathematical Modeling Information System. From the correct configuration of the ME's, the modeler will be able to configure the required algorithms, link them together, and generate the computational code of their choice. Finally, she will be ready to run the multi-problem models. The data source for building a model can be the description of the real model, and/or the algebraic formulation, and/or pre-existing models in the OPTEX database. The essence of the project is focused on uniting the OPTEX database with an artificial intelligence, built following the methodologies of the GPT artificial neural networks. The main product is the management of IDIS, Industrial Data Information System. Most of the information is in videos on HI's YouTube channel. This information must be incorporated into OPTEX GPT. OPTEX GPT has internal functions to convert a video, or a group of videos, into white papers in OPTEX format. As an advisor, OPTEX GPT will have access to a database of documents, some generic and some specific, to facilitate the understanding of the company-wide optimization system by the user group. The image shows the connectivity of the OPTEX and OPTEX GPT databases. The OPTEX GPT database stores different types of documents oriented to the models and solutions that the user handles. OPTEX Expert System Database, OPTEX manuals, user application manuals, manuals of the work carried out for the user, and technical documents such as papers and videos. Alfred North Whitehead affirmed, "Civilization advances by extending the number of important operations which we can perform without thinking of them." OPTEX GPT is a definitive step in this direction. Like Herbert Simon, hypothalamus artificial intelligence believes that the computer-based mathematical modeling is the greatest invention of all times. Thank you for your attention.